I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. If everyone would stand for prayer and pledge allegiance.
Let us pray together. Almighty God, we ask your blessing to be with us on this hot summer night. We pray that your blessing will be upon all who live and work in Jeffersontown, our community, as we go through these hot days and nights, and we pray for their safety and well-being. Ask your blessing upon all who've gathered here for this meeting, upon our mayor and city council members, and upon all the discussion and decisions that are made. We pray for peace in our time. We pray for all those who serve and protect us here and throughout the world. We pray for their safety and well-being. And we ask your blessing now to be with us in our meeting and with our community that we love and serve. For it is in your holy name we humbly pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They don't have any. Reading of the minutes, June 18th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 18, 2024 as distributed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. General fund warrant number 1609.
I make a motion to approve general fund warrant number 1609 is distributed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Road fund warrant number 996.
I make a motion to approve road fund warrant number 996 by
Second.
title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. TARC presentation, the new on-demand program. There you go. Hello. How are you? I'm okay. Haven't seen you in a while.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you, Mayor Pike, Council, Matt, thank you for having me this evening. So I'll give you a quick overview. Glad to share kind of what's been happening at TARC for a little bit. So let's see, I got this clicker here. So let me give you a kind of a preview. In 2022, there was a micromobility plan or a transit study conducted. And its basic premise was, how do we improve the quality of service and connect or extend fixed route service in areas? And how do we use technology to bridge that gap? So that's kind of how we got started. Board of Directors, TARC's Board of Directors in 2023 in November approved a 6-month pilot for 2 zones. In that pilot, there were 8 zones identified. So J-Town was one in Louisville, New Albany is the other one in Southern Indiana. So let me see here. If I get this to work. Does it work? Will you take the next slide? Oh, perfect. Thank you. Just tell me when you want me to click it up. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So what is on-demand transit? So on-demand transit's something like you've probably seen. You kind of pair a technology platform on your, like a mobile app on your phone, pair it with like a taxi cab service or a shared ride service like a taxi cab, like an Uber or Lyft. Specific zones require the smaller vehicles, so it's a shared ride environment. There were 8 zones identified in the study, so we picked 2 based on kind of priority levels in the study in J-Town. I'm glad to have one here. So it's a trend in the transit nationwide. So what is this thing? So it's called different things across the country. So on demand, dial a ride, demand response, all those kinds of things, but they're designed to solve a specific problem. And what usually that specific problem is, you have less dense areas and suburban areas outside the fixed route. A fixed route system with big buses is used to kind of help move lots of people very frequently down big corridors, a big highway system. So it serves a less dense area to connect you to the network, to the fixed route network. And it's usually where fixed route is not available, has been deconstructed or is absent or something like that. So that's kind of what situation that we have here when trying to connect in a zone. It provides a first mile, last mile connection. That's what we call inside your zone. We want to make sure people have access to the entire network so we can get you to the zone, to the fixed route network and get you connected. And then we provide you point to point inside the zone. I've got a little picture, or I have a handout that displays the zone here in a second. Why is TARC implementing this? Yeah, why is TARC implementing this pilot? So there's growing demand, but there's not always a growing resources. So demand for service is always growing. I've never heard anybody tell me we want less service, we want more service. So how do you do that, right? How do you do that? What's the best way to do that? So it takes time to implement a fixed route system. I won't go through all the iterations of planning and scheduling, but it's basically, computer program helps us put together, blocks for buses and people operate a 24-hour, 7-day operation. So it's a little bit of a scheduling nightmare, but it takes time to put that together and make sure they all match up and fix together. So on demand can target a zone and try to solve a specific problem. What I'm hoping we do here is we learn travel patterns, we learn a customer experience, kind of what's happening, what people want. So that's what I'm hoping that we can learn from this one. The specific zone, smaller vehicles, serves a less dense area. We've talked about that. Trend in transit nationwide. It's a way to complement the fixed route service. It's not meant to take its place. And I've already talked about the targets and the first mile, last mile inside a zone. Next slide, please, sir. TARC on demand pilot details. So it's a 6-month pilot, April through October in Jeffersontown and New Albany. So it's that defined zone from the study. And I'll share some details about how we're doing as far as production goes and how many trips we've made. The cost is $5 for a point-to-point and $2 beginner and at a TARC fixed route stop. So that's what I call the first mile, last mile. So if you live a little bit too far away from the fixed route, we're trying to encourage you to get to the fixed route bus stop so you can get on the network. And then it's a 7-day a week from early morning to mid-evening. Next slide. What's next? So evaluation of results. Does this make sense for the region? So I've already shared with you what I'm hoping that we can learn. Did we establish new ridership? Is it something the existing ridership likes? There's a small takeaway of the zone. And I will add here, we did add as an additional stakeholder in the zone, Galen College. So they have a partnership with JCPS. We wanted to make sure we included them, but it's to just get those kids to the school, to the fixed route bus stop. It's too far away. It's just, you can't make that. So we've included that one in this one. So when that fires up, hopefully we'll be able to support that Galen College, the need to get to the fixed route. I'm hoping we can really connect with the customer, find out what that customer experience is, find out what it is we can do to do better. Look at the travel patterns and those kinds of things. The problems, one of the challenges with a on-demand service like this is doesn't scale very well. So if it grows and it becomes too popular, that's a good thing for a different reason. It's a good thing because it's letting you know that you've established kind of what might be the beginnings of a fixed route network, because you're finding out where people want to go, establish travel patterns. And as that demand increases and the need for more small vehicles, you've kind of established where you might want to lay out a fixed route, what makes more sense in the frequency. So the next two items are kind of a top 2 priorities for TARC. One is the TARC 2025 network redesign and our financial challenges. So I know you've probably heard this in the news. So I've got a couple of takeaways for you to help explain that, but I'll give you a high level kind of introduction to that. So TARC brought on board Jarrett Walker is a national transit planning consultant or agency. They've done this kind of thing for several agencies across the nation. They're very good at what they do. Glad to have them on board. They're going to engage in probably about an 18-month process where they're going to look at scenarios, building out, what we can do, what our network should look like. And it makes sense. Even if we weren't and we didn't envision us being exactly right here, a year or two ago, but we've always known that we need to have a network reboot. We need to kind of take a look and refresh what our system looks like. So these are what these guys are doing. They're going to do some stakeholder engagement. There's going to be a series of engagement with stakeholders to include Louisville Metro and others. You guys are probably on the list. There's some one-on-ones that are happening to make sure that everyone's up to date and knows what we know and understands, the current condition and the path that we're on to get better, to do better. So that's ongoing. The TARC financial challenges are also something that took us a while to get here. What masked our problem over the last 2 to 3 years was when COVID arrived. COVID kind of provided what were federal funds that were about 144 million over a 5-year period that we were using to offset operational expenses. So those are coming to an end here very soon, and so we're trying to make sure that we're doing the right things, that we're making sure that we take this time to reset the network, make it look like it needs to look like, borrow some time to borrow time to make sure that we get a network that looks well, and that we have the time to connect with our stakeholders and find out what that network should look like, and where possible funding streams we might be able to tap into in the future. So that's a kind of a two-pronged approach to two priorities that TARC has. You know, make sure that network looks like it needs to look like, and make sure we have adequate funding to cover the expenses to make that happen. And I have a few takeaways for you that give you kind of a timeline and kind of those big bucket things that we're doing. Other than that, guys, I think that's got it, and I'm available for questions if you have them.
I just want to say thank you for coming out here and to explain to the council how important that this is. After meeting with you several times, it's important that we get transportation to our industrial park. Our industrial park is a vital part of our city and of our citizens. The industrial park allows your tax rate to be 10 cents a hundred. And if we did not have the industrial park, we would have a lot higher taxes than what we have now. And I really do appreciate you trying to get the people out here for us. And thank you. And I know this has been a headache just trying to schedule it. I can only imagine. I can't even schedule up here. I can't imagine. But thank you for coming and enlightening everyone.
I appreciate you very much. I'll leave some of these takeaways with
Anybody got any
Matt,
questions?
if you got questions.
Yeah, I had a question.
Yep.
On the rideshare program,
Yep.
is there an app that someone has to download? How is it like an Uber or a Lyft?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go on to the App Store, whichever, if you're using Android or iPhone, you just look for TARC On Demand, and it'll pull it up, and it'll give you the option on whether you're in New Albany or you're here in J-Town, and you can schedule a ride. It'll look just like you would if you use Uber or Lyft. It looks very similar. It's the very same thing.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Excited.
I served on that steering committee, and the importance, and I pushed them hard to focus on Jeffersontown because we do have the largest commerce park. And as me and the mayor meet with a lot of these businesses, we're hearing that they're finding employees, but a lot of these employees do not have reliable transportation. So this is a good pilot project. Hopefully it'll have a lot of good successes to where they can get to that last mile. If you look on the map one, the dark lines are the fixed routes. So even if somebody is somewhere else in the county, but they're going to work in our industrial park, they can bring that fixed route into this zone and then use that app to actually get to the front door of that business. So that's always the part that's been missing, and that's why it's been challenging for businesses to find quality, reliable employees, based on their employment needs or their transportation needs.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ted Bernstein. If you'll come forward, please. Oh, you are? It said number 8.
Every day.
Steve?
Okay, this is a revised detailed district development plan that was transmitted from Louisville Metro Planning Commission. It's called Everyday Athletes at 10,000 Grassland Drive. This site is zoned PEC, Planned Employment Center. It's kind of on the residential dead end side of Grassland Drive. It backs up to the railroad tracks. So you can see that better with the aerial photo. They are requesting a revised development plan for a 20,000 square foot fitness center building. Everyday Athletes is already in the Commerce Park. They're over off of Production, I believe. So they would be building a new building at this location, larger, I think, than their existing facility. And then this would be built for their use. Provide the facilities that they require. There are no waivers or variances. It meets the requirements of the Land Development Code. The Development Review Committee recommended approval to the city of Jeffersontown. So,
Nice.
any
Is that
questions?
the football stadium next to it, or what is it?
No, this is closer to Taylorsville Road. The railroad underpass is right there.
Up at Grassland off Meredith.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the other end of
That
Grassland from the baseball
Gotcha.
or football field.
How many employees do they have?
Uh,
I know exactly right.
I'll let Mr. Bernstein answer that.
Well. Any other questions from you guys?
Is that bridge wide enough, Steve?
Yeah, the vehicular bridge was put in to allow this development, or a development. Previously, we had some office warehouse buildings approved at that location.
That's what I was thinking. I
So-
remember something.
So yeah, the developer put that bridge in specifically with the width that would allow tractor trailers.
Well, I'll make a motion for first reading of resolution number 782, series 2024 by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
A resolution relating to the approval of a revised detailed district development plan as transmitted from the Louisville Metro Planning Commission for the following development: Everyday Athletes at 10,000 Grassland Drive. This was Metro Docket 24 DDP-0012. Madam Mayor, this being a resolution, you may entertain a motion for passage.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I also have here, it says Agenda 8, Jason Lang. Do you want to make any comments?
He's actually for number 9.
Okay. Somebody's got my 8s wrong. Sorry. Okay. Number 9, first reading resolution number 783, series 2024.
I'll make a motion for reading by title only, resolution 783, series 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Before I read that, you want to do your summary?
Sure. This is a Category 2B development plan with landscape waivers transmitted from Louisville Metro Planning Commission for the Welshin Company, 1801 Trainway. The project is in the PEC zoning district off of Plantside Drive. The address is actually Trainway, which is a private access easement that comes in off of Bluegrass Parkway. There's the aerial photo, so you can see the Bachman Subaru and truck sales there to the top corner. So it's an existing building that they're putting an addition on. The existing building's 45,539 square feet. The proposed expansion is an additional 44,000, just over 44,000 square feet. So what the Planning Commission was ruling on was the landscape waivers. So at the bottom there, they're providing the 15-foot PEC LBA, but it overlaps an existing easement. For the existing part of the building, that was allowable under Article 12 of the old Land Development Code, but it needs a waiver for the new section and the old section under Chapter 10. And then on the top part, because to get a drive aisle along that bottom part of the building for fire access and everything and truck access, they had to push that building closer to the other property line, which is why they're asking for the landscape waiver over there to reduce the landscape buffer area. So this is a little bit more close up. The blue section there is the building addition. We'll let them remain at this location and I believe add employees. So, any questions?
What do they do?
I'll let Jason with Prodigy. I kind of know, but if you want to come up.
Jason Lang with Prodigy.
Hi, Jason.
Jason Lang with Prodigy Construction. Welshin, they manufacture kind of electrical components is the best way to put it, like extension cords, power cords for appliances, just on a really big scale. When we first helped them move into this building about 10 years ago, they started operations, and with the economy, they kind of closed this one down temporarily. They're back to gearing back up to work primarily with GE, I believe.
Okay.
So they're looking to just bring in a lot more equipment, a lot more production.
How many employees you have?
Do we have? I don't even know right
As long as you have enough, that's
now. I
good.
have enough.
We need you.
Some days more than others.
That's good.
No other questions?
No.
A resolution relating to the approval of a Cat 2B development plan and a landscape waiver as transmitted from the Louisville Metro Planning Commission for the following development: Well Shin, 1801 Train Way. This is the Metro Docket 24 waiver -0001. This being a resolution, Madam Mayor, you may entertain a motion for passage.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for doing business in Jefferson Town. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Second reading of ordinance number 1453, series 2024.
I make a motion for second reading of ordinance number 1453, series 2024 by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
An ordinance relating to budget and appropriation for fiscal year 2024 to 2025. By way of summary, this is a $38,134,888 budget. The revenues and disbursements are balanced, so it is a balanced budget. This is the second reading, Madam Mayor. You may entertain a motion for passage.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second reading of ordinance number 1454, series 2024.
I make a motion for approval of second reading of ordinance number 1454, series 2024 by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
An ordinance relating to the establishment of a tax rate for the city of Jeffersontown, Kentucky for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30, 2025, and adopting the annual Jefferson County, Kentucky assessment as the city of Jeffersontown assessed values. By way of summaries, this particular ordinance makes the tax rate at 10.82 cents per $100 of assessed value. It adopts the annual county assessment, the PVA assessment, as the city's assessing value. And it's for this coming fiscal year, and it establishes penalties and discounts with respect to this ordinance. This being a second reading, you may entertain a motion for passage.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just let the record state, I've been a realtor for a long, long time, 47 years, and I've never seen taxes this low for a city this large that gives the services that we give. Jeffersontown is a great place to live. So thank you all for coming tonight and having an interest in your city. Thank you. Second reading of ordinance number 1452, series 2024.
I make a motion for second reading of ordinance 1452, series 2024 by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
An ordinance relating to amendment of ordinance number 1242, series 2008, as amended, and revising, updating sections 15106, 202.1, 203.4, and Appendix B of the Jeffersontown, Kentucky Code of Ordinances, amending, revising, and updating the Jeffersontown, Kentucky Property Maintenance Code. This was reported favorably out of the ad hoc committee at the last meeting, and I believe Mr. Rusi had gave it a complete summary of it at that time. This being a second reading, you may entertain a motion for passage.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First reading of ordinance number 1455, series 2024.
Make a motion for first reading of ordinance 1455, series 2024 by title only. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We're going to have the meeting at this point. The hearing?
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to announce it. May I?
Yeah.
Before we begin this hearing, I would like to explain a few things about it. This is not a public hearing. The public hearing was held before the Planning Commission, and they've reported out since then. That is a constitutionally required due process hearing. This is a argument style hearing that's based upon the evidence that was produced at that hearing. Therefore, the people that will be able to speak at this have to be aware of what evidence was produced. The city council have been provided a link where they are able to understand what happened at that meeting and to be familiar with it. So the people that spoke at that or submitted various evidence into the record at that time, whether they did it by email or mail, it's evidence. And the only discussion will be on the evidence that was presented at that hearing. There'll be no new evidence heard tonight. And I would like to read the individuals that we have listed from the Planning Commission that either spoke at that meeting or had they not spoken at the meeting, they did send in evidence. That would be Tim Shaughnessy, Michael Hammonds, Tim Kane, Shauna Hartnett, Edwin Piercy, Kelly Holland, Guy James, William Johnson, Daniel Hartnett, and Rachel Redwanski. Those people will be able to argue the positions that they set forth either in evidence they presented by mail or email and or by testimony at the hearing itself. We'll start out with a summary by Mr. Rusi. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Okay, and as always, since I can't put anything new into the record, I'm presenting the Louisville Metro Planning Staff's PowerPoint that was presented to the Planning Commission. It was under their case number 24-zone-0021. So this request is for a change in zoning from R4 single-family residential to R5 single-family residential and PRD, which is Planned Residential District, along with a major preliminary subdivision plan and a detailed district development plan with binding elements. So it's one parcel currently. They're proposing 10 lot R5 subdivision, which is single family residential separated, and a 43 lot PRD planned residential development subdivision. Those are attached units in, as I'll show you on the plan. Department of Planning and Public Works have approved the private roads for the PRD section. Here's the lot. It's located along Lockridge Parkway, has a little bit of frontage along Gutenberg, and then Fairway to the right. There's an aerial photograph. So here is their proposed development plan. The single-family detached lots are along Lockridge Parkway there to the left. That's what they're requesting, R5. The rest of the 43 units are, as you can see, attached in groups of 2s and 3s and 4. So this is the subject site as seen. I believe this is from the Lockridge Parkway. And then the top left are residential lots along Lockridge Parkway. Where the sidewalk ends, that's basically to the right where the development would begin. And the same along the southern is Fairway. That field to the right is where the development would be proposed. Dante did say they had a late comment received May 28th about questioning whether the environmental constraints made earlier development of the property infeasible. That late comment should be included in what was sent to you. So her staff findings was that the change in zoning is compliant with Comprehensive Plan 2040. It's proposed residential use in a residential neighborhood. The density is comparable to neighboring area and to what would otherwise be allowed on the site without the zoning change. And the detailed district development plan meets the Land Development Code requirements and Plan 2040 guidelines. Planning Commission recommended that the City of Jeffersontown approve the change in zoning from R4 to R5 and PRD. They voted to recommend approval of the major preliminary subdivision, and they recommended that the City of Jeffersontown approve the detailed district development plan. Those votes were unanimous. And that concludes mine.
First would be the attorney for the developer, Cliff Ashburner.
He should.
How much time are you going to need for this?
Hopefully not too much.
That's
I will try to be brief.
See, that's not responsive to my question. My question was, how much time do you need?
I will need 6 minutes. Take 6
There you go.
minutes.
We're not going to cut you off the.
That's okay. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council for hearing us tonight. Just as a reminder and kind of a transition from what Steve mentioned, the proposal tonight is for a single family subdivision. Some of the units are detached, some of the units are attached, but they will all exist on their own lots. The recommendation has come to you with a unanimous vote from the Metro Planning Commission, which I think is relevant for you. And I think as you all see lots and lots of zoning cases, there's always this tension between diversity, especially when it comes to residential, diversity of housing types. So we want to allow people to live in different kinds of homes, in different kinds of areas, and compatibility. And sometimes those things are in tension, and that's a tension that you find in our comprehensive plan a lot. What I think Brian Wimsett has come up with, MRC Development Group is his company, and Derek Triplett here to my left, your right, has come up with is a good way to kind of harmonize those two concerns. And what it is we have the ability for single family lots, and then we have the ability for single family attached lots for those people who may want to remain in Waterston Woods, remain in the area, but maybe don't want the larger yard and the maintenance responsibility that comes with that. So just to remind everybody where we are, the subject property is in the middle of the screen here. You have R4 and R5 and R7 in the area. One other thing I'll point out, throughout Waterston Woods, there are cul-de-sacs that go back to common open space. And the proposal that we're showing you tonight actually has kind of common open space adjacent to that other common open space that is near it directly to the north. So this is what the property looks like. This is a little bit redundant from what Steve said. These are some of the homes in the area. So, when you're talking about residential diversity, again, you're talking about, well, there are some ranches, there are 2 stories, there are split levels. You've got a variety of building materials. These are on Lockridge. The homes on Lockridge, MRC is going to build, and those are going to be, basically maintenance free. So there will be brick exteriors with vinyl accents, that sort of thing, in the eaves and things like that. And I think they will work very well with the homes on Lockridge. These are the homes on Talitha. So kind of behind these homes is that common open space. And then adjacent to the common open space behind these homes is some common open space that's on the subject property. These are the homes on Farrer. Again, you can see on the far left of the photo, you've got a ranch. You've got split level on the far right. And so there are a variety of housing types in the area. So this is the proposed plan in the larger context. And you can see basically the entrance to the PRD section, so that's the attached single family section, is off Fairway. Obviously the homes that front on Lockridge will just have access on Lockridge, just like the other homes that face that street. And you can see the open space on the north side of the plan and open space on the south side of the plan. So this is the development plan, a little bit closer view. Again, you can see the open space that surrounds the attached single family. You can see the open space that's on the north. There are some trees in that area. Obviously, removing trees is an expense that the developer has to incur. And so to the extent that trees can be preserved, they will be. But as land design does, they want to design conservatively. We understand we do have a tree canopy requirement. And so land design has designed it as if we're going to have to plant everything new. These are the proposed attached single-family units. So this is a triplex.
Cute.
Again, mixture of building materials. They would be coming off a private road. One thing I do want to point out, one of the binding elements that was required by the Planning Commission and may have actually been a suggestion from Public Works here was that there would be no parking on the street, on the private street, to make sure that there was clear access into and maneuvering around in that private area. And then here's one of the 4-unit buildings. Again, they're single story. They are attached, and they're really designed for that person who wants to stay in the area, likes their church, likes their community. Either somebody on the kind of the young end of the housing spectrum who needs to move into a smaller unit, or someone looking to get out of a larger home. And then there's the proposed development plan as well. So I think the application that's before you, again, is for attached single family and detached single family. The overall density, I know that was mentioned, is 4.3 dwelling units per acre, which is actually lower than the allowable density in the existing R4 zoning, which is 4.8 dwelling units per acre. It's just that in order to cluster the homes and in order to create those open spaces, we have to use the PRD regulation and we have to use R5. So I'm happy to take any questions. I think I'm right at 6 minutes, Mr. Fisher.
Well done.
Derek is here as well if you have questions for him.
Cliff, I would like to ask, could you tell me the approximate sell price of these, please?
So
Mid
mid
300s?
300s, yes. That's the plan.
Very good.
What's the square footage of the ones that are attached?
Come on up, Brian.
Got two different sizes. The ones in the center would be 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and they're going to be about 1,450 to 1,500 square foot. And the ones on the end will be 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and they're 1,550 to 1,600 square feet.
2-car garage.
2-car garage. I got all of them's got open porches on the back. We're going to try to save as many trees as we can along the thing on the power line side and both sides of it.
And what's the price point on the homes?
They're going to be probably a little over 350. They're going to be 1,600 square foot, 2-car garage.
Are they all the same floor plan or are they different
No,
styles?
they'll all be, there's 3 different plans and
Okay.
there's 10 of them that all have different elevations on the front.
Okay.
Mr. Wimsett, did you notice we have a few real estate agents on the council?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're right.
Just
We're all
letting you
asking the
know.
Same questions.
I have a question. It doesn't have to do with anything really, but what is it? This is just for my knowledge. What's the difference between a patio home and a triplex? Is there a difference?
I think they're both.
Patio homes are
I think they're describing the same thing.
Triplex
Yeah,
is 3.
same thing.
Yeah, usually the triplex is used in apartments where these are actually probably gonna be changed to the name garden homes, because patio homes, they don't own their own lot. These, each individual own their own lots on these.
Okay. Front and back, they'll have a yard front and back.
Yeah, so they'll have their own yard, the bit of HOA, I take care of it all, take care of the landscaping. They'll take care of all the streets, they'll mow all the grass underneath the power lines, so it's a win for J-Town. You won't cost y'all any money and you're getting all the taxes.
In the beginning, you'll have an HOA and you all will pay, or whoever buys it will pay into that, and Brian will be responsible for that. And after he gets them all sold, you'll probably turn them over to the owners, won't you? And they'll have home ownership. So that's how that will work.
There is actually as well a binding element that's included in the recommendation to the council
Okay.
that talks about how that how the initial part of that works. I just wanted to mention to you, Councilwoman Ware, so you see on the plan here the darker areas, that's kind of the rooftops, and then the yellow areas behind and around, that's the yard area.
Oh.
And then all the green area is common space. So you
Nice.
see the yellowed lots and then the rest of it's common space.
Will the HOA negotiate with a waste collector or trash collector separate from Rumpke?
We
We'll
don't
set
know.
it up at the get-go, and then the HOA will be able to change it to whoever they want as it goes along. But yeah, I'll set it all up in the beginning.
Okay.
So.
And I'm asking
I'm not
about the
like
private.
Rumpke, is there?
No. I'm asking because of the private streets,
Yeah.
and with private streets, no snow plow by us or maintenance by the city of Jeffersontown. And a lot of times Brumpke, it's got to be on a city road for us to collect. And since it's a private road, we wouldn't be collecting their trash. I'm assuming.
That'll all be
Right.
in the HOA dues. Y'all won't have any expense there at all. Street lights or nothing.
We don't have to pay your streetlights?
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
We like
I
that.
mean, you already got them on Lockridge for me, thanks.
Yeah.
Not in the-
And I was just asking because a lot of times in some of these condo associations or something like that, that's usually a request we get is, hey, why aren't you plowing our street? And it's a
I'll
private
turn them
street.
down every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be a private road owned by the HOA, so you won't have any maintenance or Jimmy's
Good.
Dream.
Yeah.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Cliff, do you have anyone else that's going to speak on behalf of the
No, I
developer?
don't think so.
I gave you several names.
I know.
Okay.
I have those names.
Okay.
No, as far as the applicant's presentation, that's it.
Okay, well, I anticipated 10 minutes, and since you only took 6, you have 4 minutes left for rebuttal.
Thank you.
And
There's nobody here to speak in opposition?
yes, we're going to go to that now.
Okay. All right,
He
we
gets-
said
he
4
gets
minutes for
rebuttal
rebuttal.
after
Okay.
that.
All right.
After they speak. I'm just going to call these out in the order that they came in through the planning commission. The first is Tim Shaughnessy. I can't, but I bet there's somebody that can.
What'd you say,
Can
Jim?
you,
Which
could you
line?
speak into the microphone, please, so we can get this?
Put that plan back up where it showed two different,
That one?
yeah, the bigger one. There you go. As you're going across the front here, excuse me.
Speak loud, Tim. I can't hear.
Yeah. No, I showed you a picture.
When I said, and I submitted, I listened to the presentation and went on 3.5 hours and then something came up, so I missed this presentation. The comments that I made when I submitted my concerns were the density of this plan versus the density of the neighborhood. Now, they make the comment in the recommendation that came from the planning commission that it's the same. But if you look at the single-family homes there on the yellow, and then you look at the connected houses that are next to it, you can tell the difference in the density. The reason why they're connecting those houses is because they want to put more of them in there. Now, that is not consistent with the standard that's been set in that neighborhood. Not for single-family housing, not for attached housing. There's a slide earlier that was in this gentleman's presentation that showed the footprint for the condominiums over in the village at Waterston Woods. They have nowhere near the number of units that they're putting in there per acre. So you've got a standard that's being set for Jeffersontown. Now, these are nice homes. These are welcome homes, and we need affordable housing. Just think when they're going to have a party in there on Christmas. Now, you look at those private roads that they built there, where are people going to park? They're going to park out on Lockridge. They're going to park out on Gutenberg because there's nowhere else for them to park. So this isn't a question of, is this a good development? This is just putting 10 pounds of potatoes in an 8-pound bag.
Michael Hammonds. Michael Hammonds once, twice, okay. Tim Kane. Tim Kane. Shauna Hartnett. Edwin Pierce. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold your mic down, hon.
Short. Okay. That map he just had up, I would love to see that again.
That one.
Your explanation on the line. It's
One
going in
entrance,
a
yeah.
neighborhood instead of the other streets. I was curious about that.
Mr. Ashburner's going to have some time in rebuttal. He can come up at that point rather than do it after each one.
Okay.
You finished, ma'am? Okay, thank you. Edwin Piercy. Edwin Piercy. Kelly Holland. No Kelly Holland. Guy James. William Johnson. Daniel Hartnett.
Good evening. Thanks for hearing me today, Mayor Pike. My name's Danny Hartnett. My wife just spoke a minute ago. And, you know, they explained to the hearing about the entrance and because it looks good on paper, because there's a half cul-de-sac there, you know, and then the new entrance is right there across from there. But there's, you know, several driveways all along there. And then on the opposite end, if they just continued that road straight or hooked either on Gutenberg or Lockridge, there's one driveway within 500 yards of that corner. Now, there's some utilities I know on Gutenberg that may be an issue. And they said also there's a hill there that they don't want to have to, deal with. They say there's too much of a slope there for the road to come out right there. But Farrier's 10 feet narrower than Lock Ridge or Gutenberg. Gutenberg might even be more than 10 feet wide than Farrier. Farrier's, they're both rated, as they stated, for the same amount of traffic. But they have the entrance where you have to go back in the middle of the subdivision. It just doesn't make sense. Because at the complete opposite end of it, like you can go out to Gutenberg and you can hit Stony Brook, or you can go back and hit Billtown. And then the other way, Lockridge, you hit Waterston Trail. And so I just don't see either way there's any reason to direct all the traffic in the middle of the road. Of course, my house is across from there, and my neighbors they're going to be straight in front. They're like, well, we're just moving, because everybody coming out's going to, the light's going to go right to their house, so. And like I said, there's no driveways up the corner, I understand people, our lot was made so we could live in it. So we got to have housing, and I have no problem with that. That's their land, they're going to build nice places, it's probably going to increase our value of our homes, hopefully, but whatever, but that's the only problem I really have with any of it. I just think the placement of that entrance is it looks good on paper and it fits nicely like that. But I don't know. There's just no reason to bring everybody a half mile into the subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel Redwanski. Is there anyone else here who either spoke at the public hearing or submitted any evidence of any kind at the public hearing?
Could you come forward, please?
What's your name, sir?
Tim Kane.
We did call you earlier, yes.
Yes, I apologize. I ran late.
No problem.
The major complaint I have is the land itself will not hold the infrastructure that he's predicting due to the drainage. The drainage.
Thank you, sir. I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone else who either attended the public hearing at the Planning Commission or submitted evidence to the Planning Commission that would like to speak? If not, Cliff, you're on. And if you want to bring your engineers with you, you can.
Now that the opposition's over, can I chime in so he can rebuttal on my stuff too? Answer my questions. Can I do that now?
As soon as he gets up there, you can ask him whatever you want.
Okay.
We won't start your time.
I was just going to say, as a resident of Waterston Woods for over 16 years, I walk that street 4 to 5 times a week. And my concern, as now many others, was if we could have convinced or dumped out onto Gutenberg, we could have put another stop sign there to help slow traffic down, because people shoot up and down that road instead of just having the one entrance on Farrier. I walked it Sunday, and a lot of the same concerns that the Horgans had mentioned, I saw that too. But I do understand a chunk of land like that's been there for 40 years. People don't want to see change. It's hard. I think that this development is individually single family owned homes is much better than an apartment complex.
I agree.
I think it will be maintained. Mr. Wimsett, I know you live right down the street, and we'll drive by that every single day as you head out. So I just want to make sure when it comes to the vote, is this a site, what is it called? Site development? Like if we're changing the zoning, is it forever?
Certain.
Or is it just for this plan only? And those are my questions.
That's for this plan.
So if this plan doesn't pass or this zoning doesn't pass, then it stays the R4.
No, let me, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah,
I don't think he was addressing you. As far as the plan goes, your vote tonight will be to change the zoning subject to the
Excuse me,
development plan.
That's not tonight. That will be at the next meeting.
I'm sorry, you're right. When J-Town finally acts, ordinances take 2 readings. I apologize. The zoning will be in place, but the development plan also affects the land. So the zoning will be there. You will change the zoning on the property. If there is a change to the development plan, that will also come back to this council. Planning Commission will make a recommendation, and the council will have the opportunity to look at it again.
just don't want it that we change the zoning and all of a sudden it's an apartment complex in 3 years.
PRD, so
that's why I'm asking if it's coming back to us to change again, that'd be all right. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
While PRD does allow for this, the density that you're seeing there in the attached units, I don't know that it would permit what you may be concerned about, kind of the 3-story garden style apartment community. So just to address a couple of comments that came up from those who spoke in opposition. First, with regard to parking and parties and things like that, I mean, that's a problem no matter where you are. If you're in a single family area, chances are you don't have a driveway that holds 15 cars. But if you want to have a Christmas party, you're probably going to have 15 people there. And so that happens. People use the streets for parking on occasion. With regard to the location of the access, and I know this was an issue for lots of people, and I hear your comments, Councilmember Hall. The choices really are Farrer and Lockridge. The constraints on Lockridge, though, are a little bit greater than they are on Farrer. So on Lockridge, you have a pretty steep grade that runs from the top of the property down to the bottom. You do have to design a street so that it doesn't exceed 10% grade. And then when you get to Lockridge, you've got to have an area where people can stop in order to turn one way or the other. So that created a problem. In addition to that, the intersection of Lockridge and Gutenberg, typically you want to have those entrances a little bit farther off of intersections. So, you know, if you think of designing streets, you want to have your intersections evenly spaced or spaced far apart enough so people can see when they approach an intersection, left, right, safely maneuver down the road. Land design worked with Metro Public Works, consulted with J-Town as well about the location of that entrance, the staff here, and that really was the best location for the entrance to the PRD section. With regard to the statements about the suitability of the property, we've done a geotech report. To the extent that there are karst features on the property, they're not in any of the building areas, and the geotech will certainly supervise and provide recommendations about how any of those karst features need to be addressed. In addition to that, all of these plans go through MSD review. They also come out here for review. So when you have a concern about drainage, that's been looked at not only by the professionals at Land Design and Development, but the folks, the engineers at MSD and J-Town as well. So I think, you know, really you all are making a comprehensive plan decision tonight. As I talked about at the beginning of my remarks, this is one of those situations where you have this sort of tension between wanting to provide diversity, wanting to give people an opportunity to live maybe in something other than a single family home, and compatibility, and wanting to make sure that whatever is built there works with the neighborhood. And so what is being proposed in this development is 2 different types of single family home. One is on Lockridge. It's kind of the more traditional look of it. And one is interior to the site. They're still single family homes. They're just attached. They're single story homes, nice building materials. We think that they will fit very well within the overall neighborhood. So with that, I would ask for a positive vote at the next meeting. And I'm happy to take any other questions to the extent that anything I've said in rebuttal brings them up.
I have one question. Steve, I'll ask you first. You adopted the binding elements that were presented by the Planning Commission. Were there any changes whatsoever?
Binding elements, other than referencing, changing some references to, City of Jeffersontown, such
Right.
as
The
we
ones we
review
usually
landscape
do, yeah.
plans. And we did add one if, because they would be eligible for trash, we did add a binding element, that if they, were to utilize Rumpke or whoever our provider is, that they would have to sign a hold harmless, agreement. I think you had reviewed
Right.
that binding element.
Then I was going to ask you, Cliff, did you all agree to the 25 binding elements at the Planning Commission hearing?
Yes.
And do you agree with the ones he just added?
Yes.
You have nothing else? That concludes the argument hearing, and there's already been a motion and a second to have a first reading by title only.
Right.
Before I read this, I would like to point out to the city council, this particular reading has no legal efficacy until we come back and have the second reading. And there's going to be a couple of weeks, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, between now and then. And I would counsel this entire city council, do not conduct any personal investigations. Don't entertain any new evidence. You're best not to speak with anyone about this particular issue or amongst yourselves until we have the next meeting. And then we'll rely upon what happened at the Planning Commission, what was heard tonight. In the interim, I have gone through this, which is the entire file. You all were given the link to the public hearing. This is the entire file from the Planning Commission. It will be available until the next meeting at the front office. If you can check with Steve, anytime you want to come in and look at it, feel free to do it. But keep your investigation to just this document, if you would. That being said, I will now read the ordinance by title only.
Fred, are questions closed?
Pardon?
Are questions closed?
Yes.
Okay. No, I just had a
You
question.
got a question, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question. I had a question for Steve, actually,
Go ahead.
in regards. So Steve, the change, I guess it's R4 today, going to PRD. Is that because these are higher density homes to get more homes in there than what would normally fit in an R4?
The PRD allows for the attached units. So
Allows for
R4
attached.
single family residential, you have side yard requirements, so you can't have the attached units. What the PRD, the Planned Residential Development, does is allow you to put common wall on a property line. So that's what the PRD does.
Gotcha. And then I had one more question about the entrances again. I don't know if Steve, if that's you or if that would be.
That I would be
Mr.
putting
Ashbury.
new information into the record, so I can't speak on that.
Okay. I had a question about the other entrance. Like what was the reason we couldn't put a second entrance in there? Is it there was a engineering problem?
That probably would have been a question for Mr. Ashburner. You want to come up and answer that question?
I didn't think I understood. So it's because of the grade of the road. It's too
Yes.
high or too low.
There are two issues that affect that location on Lockridge. One is the change in grade from the top of the site down to Lockridge would cause the road in that direction to be potentially greater than 10% of a grade, which is one problem. The other problem, which is probably more fundamental to the public's concerns rather than the potential residents' concerns, is the proximity between that entrance and the Lockridge Gutenberg intersection. It would just be too close.
If the other exit was up where the R5s are going to be, could it, because there was a section of the road that it makes an L shape, or that goes up, just hook it to the left and take out one of the R5s?
Every one of these site designs, and Derek can certainly attest to this better than I can, is a constant balancing act, right? So that part of the site, then that northwest part of the site where the detention area is kind of where the detention area needs to be. So that does present an issue there as well.
Okay.
Does anyone else have a question?
So what would it take? And I mean, would it be a huge deal if you reviewed it to see if there was another way to put another entrance?
So we were actually asked that by the planning commission. And we did conduct that second time through review. And it was determined by kind of all involved, including land design, J-Town's Public Works Department and Metro Public Works, that the entrance is where it ought to be.
And no way to add a second one.
No.
Is that with the current houses, or it was at the constraint was to maximize occupant?
No. It's, yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah, we've looked at it. I mean, designed it the first time, submitted it to all the agencies, got comments back. We were asked this very same question based on similar concerns that were expressed at the
Right.
Land Development and Transportation Committee, and came up with the same answer. So I understand the residents' concerns, you know, I understand the concerns that some people have about having the entrance on their
yes,
street.
it will be
I get that. It will be a change.
Be a lot of
But
cars.
any development on this property is going to be a change. And the proposed density is actually less than what would otherwise be allowed on the property. So, you know, we think it's a good design, that fits
Well, I
within
think it's
the
a great
neighborhood.
design.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that. I just wish there was one more entrance.
You know, like I said,
Yeah, it seems like a flat piece of land to me when
Yeah.
I go by. I'm like, I don't
I
see
know,
any big
right?
hill.
Me too.
That's what I was wondering.
That's, yeah,
It's weird.
what I feel too.
I'm sure it costs more money to put in a road. but
Another road.
Yeah.
I don't
Thank you.
know. But the people on the fair, they're gonna.
that's,
Okay.
so what was said, this is reflected on the development plan, so I think it's probably okay. There's a 40-foot grade difference between one side of the property and the other. So it may look, I don't know off the top of my head. I have to look at the plan again. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, you have a motion and a second for a first reading of the ordinance. And it's been passed to have the first reading. An ordinance relating to the amendment of the zoning classification of a certain parcel of land located within the city of Jeffersontown, Kentucky, from R4 classification to R5 and PRD classifications with a major preliminary subdivision and a detailed district development plan and binding elements. The binding elements have been agreed to. This being a first reading, no further action is taken tonight, and I will repeat the admonition that I gave earlier about trying not to discuss this amongst yourselves or with anyone else between now and the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee reports. Mark Bloom.
No report.
Allison.
No report.
Tim.
Well, I got stuff. Where'd the chief go?
He's here.
2 big busts this week. Great job, Jeffersontown Police Department. Thank you. Do you want to tell us about them? You want to tell us about them?
Tell us about them, or can you?
Tim, you took my safety
I was gonna say,
committee
Tim.
report.
Well, don't worry. I'm gonna take a few more. I'll take care of Vince's too.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hall. But the first one involved ongoing operation between J-Town and DEA. These 4 individuals from St. Louis, Hispanic males, came over and delivered 30 pounds of methamphetamine and 11 pounds of fentanyl. Enough fentanyl to kill everybody here. So it was an ongoing long-term investigation, very successful. The other was a traffic stop on Hirschborn Lane where the officers pulled over a car and they found 7 ounces of cocaine and $108,000 in cash. 2 Hispanic males from, can't remember where they're from, but both significant in their own way. So thank you for saying that.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Chief.
job. Secondly, J-Town Public Works, always Jimmy Franconia, Jimmy James, always patrolling the air, scrolling the Facebook, did a quick response on a Plainview sidewalk the other day. So thank you. I was going to say, you were quick to respond, so good job.
Throwing it
Mayor.
here.
Good job. Economic development, we had a very good week this week. A lot of ribbon cuttings. The Gaslight Diner opened up. Scooters opened up. A novelty romance bookstore opened up. And I just wanted to say, it's working. Matt Meunier got the farmer's market with Emily and Deb working on that. Saturday morning coming up to the bookstore opening. Kevin Carmen can attest to this. There were 20 people waiting to get into the bookstore. There were
Yes.
people over at the Gaslight Diner sitting outside eating breakfast. People were hitting up and down the streets going to the farmer's market and moving around to the other businesses. It's working. We need to keep on pushing that, getting the foot traffic in the city. But just wanted to say thank you all for all your efforts on that. And we're going to have a big market at night this week. So
Yes.
that's all I have.
Thank you. We're trying. Trina?
Administration has nothing. No report.
Kevin?
Mayor, Planning and Zoning has no report. I want to throw a shout out to Debbie, and I don't think Emily's here tonight for the Summerfest on Friday night.
Nice.
Another great job. I know y'all had plenty of your workers from the swim club were there. Young people, very impressive what they were doing. Got a lot of positive comments from families and people up there. Just really that, you know, what you all put on, what you did. Just kind of what Tim said. It was neat Saturday morning. You could feel the energy up here on the square. When you looked over at Gaslight Diner and people eating outside, it was really neat. All the energy that's down there. And just a heads up, just a, shout out to Matt and all of them that are doing this. It's very impressive and it's nice to see.
Thank you. Thank you. Pam?
No report.
Pam? Another Pam?
Chief, do you have anything else? No report.
Okay. Thank you all. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you, Chief, for that. How about my directors? Debbie, got anything? Nothing? Jimmy? Nothing? Wow. Chief, other than what you've said? Scott? Steve? Nothing? Am I missing any directors? Okay. Couple things I wanted to say. I want to thank the crowd here tonight. It's very impressive to have you come out and take an interest in your city, and thank you all for coming. If ever we can help you in any way, we are your voice, and we appreciate you coming here. Thank you very much for that. One other thing, this Saturday night, we are having the night market. Waterston Trail will be shut down from 5:30 to 8:30. There will be a nice band. We had a great band last Friday night. It was Jimmy Buffett, remembers of Jimmy Buffett. And it was the only thing we were missing was the beach balls, but it was nice. This Saturday night, we'll have another band here on Town Square. Is that where y'all gonna put it? Right here in front? Yeah. And there'll be a lot of food trucks come out and patronize these people and make them a little bit of money. Our trolley hop has been much of a success. And because I've got so many people here tonight, I'm going to say this because I never get this much of a captive audience, but a trolley hop is a trolley hop and not a trolley ride. So I want everybody to understand that. I want you to come if you can and hop off, hop on, go to the businesses and spend money. That's the point of this, and not to get on to ride for all night long and not to spend any money. So I need you to do that to help these people stay in business and make our downtown flourish. We've got a lot of stuff planned for downtown. Businesses are calling and wanting to come in. We had a great one that called yesterday and wanting to do business down here. And, I think that J-Town is up and people are starting to recognize that we're a destination and not just passing by. So thank you all again. Other thing that I'm happy to report that to the council that because we have sought competition on our renewal with Kentucky League of Cities, insurance has been reduced by 19% from last year. KLC came in at $30,000, less than the market price. This money's already been appropriated in the budget, and I would like to appreciate I would appreciate a voice resolution of the council's approval for this. Because before, I don't think they ever challenged KLC, and KLC probably thought that they always had Jeffersontown's money. They did not ever sharpen their pencils enough. And because this time we said, you know, you either need to get on it or we're going to look at other places, and we did. And with that being said, we have saved the city about $130,000. So that was a good thing on the insurance. Other than that,
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all.
Come again. Fred, did you want them to vote on that? Okay.